Mail pieces, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, but the commission has really been out there. I want to commend, recently I opened up my, you heard me say I get very giddy when I open up my PICO mail these days, and I opened up my PICO mailer and there was a letter from Craig Adams, the president. The letter was dedicated, one letter, dedicated to stressing the importance of electric competition and your need as a customer to leave the mothership at 2301 Market Street. We need to see more of that from the electric distribution company. In my view, and I think my colleagues would join me, the tools are there for the electric distribution company to invest in what they're supposed to be good at: reliability and transmission and distribution of service to customers. We passed Act 11 that gives those new tools to companies to go out there, do their metering deployment, and provide safe and reliable service to customers. The supply side of it, I'm not so sure that's a core competency of the electric distribution company, and that's why we're having a discussion here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania about what that model looks like. Guiding principle number 4, let market decisions drive investment. This slide it should refer to New Jersey and Maryland. If you follow the recent federal court decisions, it was very loud and clear: don't mess with the wholesale power markets. That's the role of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And I think those two states were sent a very loud and clear message. If you want to subsidize generation, you want to mess with the market rules, you're going to be reprimanded by, obviously they were reprimanded by the federal courts for doing that. And I don't think that's ever been the case here in Pennsylvania. We're not in the business of picking winners and losers, and I think that's been good for not only your industry, but on the wholesale market side, if you look at the diversification of our generation fleet here in Pennsylvania. Guiding principle number 5, continued oversight and enforcement. The state should ensure that the market abuse and market manipulation will not be tolerated. I think it's fair to say that this Public Utility Commission has zero tolerance for bad actors. From 2012 to 2013, we've imposed 5 civil penalties on retail electric and natural gas suppliers, representing about $178,000 of fines to these entities. Additionally, the PUC has directed $22,000 to be paid in customer refunds. I want to see this go away, and I think the only way we get there is that the industry works together with the Commission and the Office of Consumer Advocate to get there. That's rigorous peer review of the people that are playing in your sandbox. And I think, again, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And guiding principle 6, grid reliability and cybersecurity. My colleague, Commissioner Whitmer, has been a national leader on the cybersecurity front. We have a team in place at the Commission, and I think the state has done a remarkable job in a very short time guaranteeing that the electric grid will remain secure and redundant to the extent necessary to maintain reliability. And that reliability is an electric distribution company function. And I think we're having that discussion, obviously, here with the MENTS legislation. Closing thoughts. I firmly believe that Pennsylvania has developed the proper policies to harness the Commonwealth's growth into one of the most robust competitive markets in the nation. The numbers tell the story. The second point is it's an ongoing work process, and I think continued efforts to enhance the retail markets are necessary in order for all Pennsylvanians to truly realize the benefits of the competitive marketplace. Let me just spend one moment on that point. You saw earlier the slides showing residential shopping. I think the most robust area in the state for residential shopping is in the Pittsburgh area, in the Duquesne service territory. I think we're up around 38, maybe 40% residential shopping. And then you come down to my neck of the woods, and by the way, our recent, and to Commissioner Whitmer's credit, the retail market enhancements, that there were a lot of naysayers. I had a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks. It was almost like a Chip Kelly press conference, that this wasn't going to work. It's never going to get the connection with customers. Well, guess what? Like any good public utility commission, we proved the policymakers wrong that it could be done. And the numbers tell that story. And I think if you look at the numbers, and I'm seeing numbers from First Energy, their electric distribution companies, I'm seeing numbers from PECO, PPL, we have robust volumes of callers calling in, making that one-time warm transfer, picking a generation supplier. What that tells me is people want convenience. You give them a website, that's one tool. but calling the mothership and then being able to be warm transferred to a supplier and getting a guaranteed savings makes it so much easier. Actually, I see it now because a lot of my lacrosse and football moms in Kennett Square are not bothering me anymore. They're calling PECO and they're getting that service. There's a company in the room here today. Speaking of market innovation, they're like my Uber, by the way. Everybody know who Uber is? AllConnect. Where's AllConnect? Can you stand and be recognized for what you're doing in our marketplace? Yes. Here's a company that met with the five of us and has come into this marketplace, and they've done this in other jurisdictions, but they are making the shopping experience so seamless for customers, and they made an investment, and they're working with our local electric distribution companies. I call it that providing of that warm transfer to a supplier offer. And so I want to thank you. You hit the ground within a 6-month period, and you're up and running, and again, another innovation in our robust marketplace. And finally, I think it's fair to say the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is really an epicenter for East Coast energy development. That bodes well for not only the future of energy investment in our state, but that product innovation and that economic development piece that I spoke to earlier. Hey, look, we're all very proud of Marcellus development. We're also proud, Matt, that hopefully a big announcement is on the horizon from Shell and a couple other cracker facilities. Where I live on the downstream side, we have a great opportunity unfolding in Philadelphia and Marcus Hook. But that's a big piece of it, but the retail energy market and having a vibrant wholesale market is really serving Pennsylvania well. And the reason I say that is through our NARUC circles and others, if I took you to other states right now, and I just share with you, in Alabama, from 2002 to 2008, rates have gone up 22.4%. In Colorado, rates have gone up 22.6%. In Mississippi, 29%. Tennessee, 20.8%. What that tells me is the restructured competitive marketplaces are far exceeding the expectation that policymakers set back in the 1990s when we took on restructuring, that markets work, and that the benefits of those markets are seen here today in what we have in Pennsylvania. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for being here in Pennsylvania. I also look forward to a spirited day and a half with you here. I know my colleagues will be sharing with you a couple panels here. And again, keep doing what you're doing. Understand that you have a friend in the Public Utility Commission, obviously a friend in the Office of Consumer Advocate, but playing by the rules and doing it in such a way that we want you here, we want you invested here, we want you to grow your business here. But for those that are not following that mission statement, get them out of the marketplace. And if I can leave you with that, I think you're doing that. I can see it in what Craig's doing at a national level. And with that, Craig, do we have time for Q&A, or are we going to go right into the panel?
We do. We have time.
For 2 questions? Okay.
We'll have you up there.
Great. And again, thank you so much for this award. We're going to display it very proudly in the offices of the Commission over at the Keystone Building. But again, I'd like to say we're a smart part of that, the 5 of us. It's the Office of Competitive Market Oversight and the over 500 employees of the Commission that are part of this award as well. So I want to recognize, could the staff here from the Commission, I'm going to give you a nice shout out for what you do. So why don't we open it up? We'll take a couple questions before we transition into the Vice Chairman and Commissioner Whitmer's panel. Okay, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. The Eagles lost and the Steelers lost. I understand things are tough, but we do have a hand up.
My name's Dino Caro from Tigris Energy. You mentioned Ohio earlier in your discussion. How often are you asked your opinion when you look at other jurisdictions? So Michigan is one area that it seems to be the extreme opposite. Are you ever asked, what you do and then how, your opinions on how a market should work?
So you may have heard, I was educated by Jesuits, and Jesuits do great missionary work. Going back to Ignatius Loyola, see Mike McCarthy there, he knows what I'm talking about. So Commissioner Cawley, you were out in Michigan. You were doing some some legwork out in Michigan. Actually, I wrote an editorial in the Detroit Press, which I think DTE Energy almost firebombed my house for it. Commissioner Vice Chairman Coleman has been active. We both participated in an NEMA conference. We talk a lot with the Ohio Commission. Chairman Schnitzer and I talk often. I know the Vice Chairman's friendly with him. And what I like about that Ohio-Pennsylvania relationship is we come up with best practices. There's things that I look at in their retail gas market that's working. It's a national success story. And then he'll ask us about our retail market investigation and things that we're doing. So the five of us have been out and about outside the Commonwealth really promoting the good of Pennsylvania's market. And obviously, I use the Bob principle, borrow, add, and adapting some of those other practices, whether it's a Texas ingredient or something that's happening in another state. And I do think governors like Rick Snyder and others are looking to states like Pennsylvania saying, maybe we ought to look long and hard at this and require our Public Utility Commission to open up a docket. And Ohio's done that. So it's slowly, you see it happening. And it's nice to do it in a $3.83 gas market.
Yes.
Take one more before we transition over. Darren Gill, do you have a question for me?
I would ask everybody to speak into the microphone. We do have PCN here taping, and if you do speak into the microphone, they'll have a better chance of capturing it.
Okay, well, with that, Craig, I want to thank you and look forward now to hearing from the Vice Chairman and Commissioner Whitmer. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here in Harrisburg.